Good afternoon and welcome to Coventry Today. I'm Conor Deering.
And I'm Tumin Hlapo. No increase in council tax in Coventry, but fears of cuts remain. A dispute at the BBC results in many journalists in Coventry going on strike, and Coventry City's future at the Ricoh Arena continues to be unclear as recent talks collapse.
Breaking news reveals that Coventry City Council have announced a freeze in council taxes. Leah Freeman reports.
To find savings elsewhere. At present, the council needs to save £29 million, which will mean cuts across a range of services.
We're at a stage now where services have been reduced, workforces have been reduced, and the depth of the cuts can only mean that employees will actually now be faced with compulsory redundancies.
But in the West Midlands, we're not the only ones facing cuts to services. Derbyshire City Council have plans to save £127 million over the next 4 years, losing over 1,600 jobs. Leicestershire Council have proposed savings of £79 million with over 1,110 jobs lost, while Lincolnshire want to save £125 million with 818 jobs cut since 2011. In the meantime, more protests are planned throughout the weekend. Leah Freeman, Coventry Today.
BBC journalists have gone on strike in a dispute over compulsory redundancies. The strike has affected some of its most prominent programmes this morning as they were cancelled. Kathy Eglinton reports.
There have been many compulsory redundancies across the BBC. The NUJ says job cuts include BBC Scotland, BBC 5 Live, the Asian Network and the World Service.
The BBC is committed to saving so much money, but what it's doing is it's denuding BBC News, which is respected right around the world, of some really great journalists, and this is just not acceptable. Long term, it's going to be difficult because there are going to be fewer and fewer people covering the big stories that people need to know about, and it's getting harder and harder to come out and ferret those stories out because there just aren't the people to do it.
BBC managers have said they are disappointed, but will try to deploy employees as much as possible.
Coverage has been severely disrupted today. The Today programme was off air, BBC Breakfast, and I think across the country, so proper transmissions have been disrupted, so it will help raise public awareness.
We asked the BBC journalist Alec Blackman if he thought the licence fee days were numbered.
The licence fee is still valued because people value what the BBC do. If you take it in comparison to something like Sky, which charges around about £30 a month for subscription television, the BBC works out at incredible value because it works out to pennies a day. It doesn't work out to a huge amount of money every year coming out of your bank account to see material that's generally made in America.
Kathy Eglinton, reporting for Coventry Today.
Controversy continues following recent investigations into the content of meat sold in supermarkets. Advanced technology allows even minute traces of horse meat to be found through tests, and the Hortmeat scandal is showing no signs of clearing. The issue has damaged major supermarkets, but how are private businesses faring in comparison? Lilise Werner reports.
Supermarket chains like Tesco's clear their shelves of beef. But does this reassure customers? Are they still buying their meat from supermarkets, or do they now prefer their local butchers?
I always bought it in the supermarket, but that doesn't happen anymore now.
I'll probably feel safer buying at the butcher's, and I'll certainly think twice before buying any minced or unidentified meat products. I don't normally buy shop-bought pies and things, but I certainly won't be buying anything that I can't be absolutely certain of what it is.
While supermarkets remove ready-made food and packaged products, local butchers display fresh English beef, mixed meat and sausages in their stores. So are local independent traders feeling the benefits of this horse meat scandal?
We've seen a lot more people come in now. Usually when you have a big thing about meat on the telly, it's always the local butchers that are affected, whereas this time it's all the supermarkets, which is good for us. And we've been quite busy last week. A lot more people have come in because they don't trust the supermarkets now. They're looking now towards the smaller butchers that do everything in store, like we do. We make our own burgers, we make our own products, but they know where it's coming from.
Due to the scandal, customers now pay more attention to where their meat comes from. More people now prefer their local butchers to supermarkets. Letitia Motema for Coventry Today.
Talks between Ricoh Arena and Coventry City Football Club have collapsed and will not be resumed until club owner Sisu accepts an agreement drawn up in January. The scandal between Coventry City Football Club and Ricoh Arena Stadium is still far from over. Arena Coventry Limited refuses to resume talks until the club owners accept an agreement drawn up in January, which is a new rent of £400,000 a year and an offer to write off part of their debt.
You may have noticed Coventry City Centre is looking rather colourful at the moment as tulips have blossomed up in Broadgate. Emma Cooley reports.
Coventry residents woke up to a pleasant surprise this morning as 30 giant tulips were erected in the town centre. Adults and children alike all seemed impressed by the new flowers.
I don't know where the tulips have come from, but they really lighten up the town centre.
The tulips come after a gloomy January to remind us spring is fast approaching. These tulips may have seemingly sprung up overnight, but the Coventry residents are definitely enjoying them. I'm Emma Cooley for Coventry Today.
Most of us have noticed police dogs around Coventry and other rural areas, but most of us probably don't know just how vital they are for certain operations. Through the Poppy Walking campaign initiated by West Midlands Police, members of the public can help to train more furry officers that will go on to help tackle crime across the country. Eva Kastodinova tells us how.
You can become a puppy walker and not only adopt a lovely pet for your household, but also help the West Midlands community by introducing the puppy to the outside world. These cute German Shepherds are soon to be allocated to volunteers from the public who will be giving them a cozy homely atmosphere and their love for 10 months. 5 months later, the already full-size grown dog will be ready to go on the streets with a police officer and serve the public safety. That's right, the same sociable and charming puppy will be able to defend its handler, to track, chase and detain criminals. Terry Arnott, who manages the police dog breeding scheme at West Midlands Police, explains the program.
Applies to be a walker. They basically fill out an application form which is on the Force's website. We go out to their home initially and we do what we call a home check. And the reason we go there for is to identify any potential hazards to the dog, check that the dog's going to a secure environment, and then we invite the people here and they spend probably a morning with us looking at the dog school, looking at the centre. My view is that we go out to their homes, they have the right to come here to our home and see us in our environment, and then we show them the dogs when they're a lot older, when they're about 12 months of age, so they can see what they're taking on, because they have these puppies from 7 weeks to 12 months of age. So it starts off as a cute little fluffy thing, but it does grow into a full-size dog. To give an analogy, we don't breed pet dogs here, we breed athletes. They come back to the dog school and they're kennelled here, and then myself and my colleague who run the breeding programme, we do further training with them, and that's where we start looking at their drives in relation to chasing and biting and holding things more firmly that they might lose if we're playing tug of war with, which then progresses to when the dog goes onto a course about 15 months of age, where it would start to be trained as a protection dog or a police dog. So.
After spending all that time with those extremely cute puppies, I'm really thinking of applying for Puppy Walker. You can do so too. This was Iva Kostadinova for ICOF.
That's all from us at Coventry Today, so goodbye and have a good night.